Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to the Cliffside pilot. So this I was actually suggested to do by a friend for reactions. She told me that this was something that I would probably get a kick out of. I don't know anything about it other than it's a pilot for some cartoon, and that the creator of it has worked on, I guess, some show from Cartoon Network. I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't like this big name one or anything, like Adventure Time or Steven Universe, but yeah, it's like the creator worked on some show from Cartoon Network and now made this pilot for his own show. I don't know like what it's going to look like. I don't know what it's about. I know nothing about it, which is how I like it. So the reason I'm deciding to do this is because my friend suggested it to me, as well as because it sounds interesting. It sounds just like a fun little thing to add into the reactions every now and again, to just throw in something kind of random, kind of different than the normal stuff we react to. I'm still going to be getting to other stuff today that is, again, quote-unquote, the normal stuff we get to, but still. I wanted to get to this as well. So yeah, without knowing anything about it, there's not really anything I can say. I think it's like about 11 minutes long or something, so about the length of a normal half-length episode for a show like OKKO or Steven Universe or whatever. Excuse me. So, yeah, that's about everything I know. At this point, talking any further would just be kind of wasting time. So we're just going to get this started. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the pilot. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so before anything, I'm going to turn up this lighting. It's actually not late or anything. It's only 2:50 right now, but it's really overcast outside. So yeah. So yeah, though, this was Cliffside, and just initial general, like, thought on, well, what I thought of it. I actually liked it. It wasn't perfect, and just like my hair. It wasn't perfect. It had a couple issues, like the fourth wall breaking. They did it a little too much, I feel. Like, if you're going to have a pilot for a show and you're going to have fourth wall breaking, that's fine, but only do it, like, maybe once, maybe twice. Anything more than that, and it'll feel like it's, like, an overdone gimmick that kind of takes away from the overall feel of the show. So our main character is 2-Bit Jerry, and he's a perpetual liar and likes to make himself seem bigger than he actually is to others. He has this partner who I think her name was like Joe or something, like J-O, I assume. Short for Jolene, I also presume. And she's kind of this stoic badass type character. You've seen them all over the place. She doesn't show much emotion, but she's extremely good at what she does. Which in this case is, you know, being a gunslinger. Protecting their town, which I assume is named Cliffside. So they're just going around, I guess, watching over something. Jerry ends up accidentally tossing his gun into the forest, and when he goes to get it back, he ends up being captured by this spider lady named Cordy. And she's not like a regular arachne. I mentioned that in there. Like, an arachne in like typical fashion tends to like have the upper body of a beautiful woman, including like female arms. And the lower body is a spider. Like, it's basically just a spider's body without the head. It's kind of like a centaur in a way. An arachne is kind of like a centaur in the way, except that instead of a horse's body, it's a spider's body. Um, which is an interesting way to put it that I've never really thought about before, but it's true. But instead, this woman has a humanoid body, except she has four spider-like arms, which are, just like spider legs. They're like the sharp pointed, have the little not what was I thinking, tendrils. They have like little hairs and stuff, little pointed hairs on the side and everything. They're spider legs basically. And she also has very sharp fangs in her mouth, which works and all. She's fucking adorable. I'm sorry, but I know I said it a lot, but she really is. Her personality, how she's like, she's a very typical character archetype in and of herself, being the kind of naive one. The cutesy, naive female character who's kind of just not really there as a joke. That's the wrong way to put it, but she's in a way comedic relief, but also granted, everything in this was. She's also just the one that people are going to attach to really quickly. The instantly likable character. Like, our main character isn't like super unlikable, but he's not like exceedingly likable either. He's kind of a pompous windbag, to be honest. And then Joe is going to be very likable too, just because, she's this stoic badass, and people tend to love that archetype. But she doesn't have a lot to her, and honestly, she didn't have a big role in this pilot until the final scene, really. Cordy had a much bigger role. And on top of that, again, she has this quirky personality that makes her stand out and is just an instantly likable personality to most viewers in any kind of show where you see this kind of character. So yeah, it's fun to see that here. She's just instantly likable. She's adorable. She's hilarious. It's like she's the best part of this by far. So Jerry and Cordy end up coming across another monster in the forest, and this one is this giant, like, this skull pterodactyl creature, which apparently is carrying death on her back for some reason. They kind of get into a fight. The pterodactyl basically bad talks Cordy, and Jerry stands up for her. And so the pterodactyl drops them from an insane height, but in thanks for standing up for her, Cordy saves them, and they end up pulling down the pterodactyl with it and killing her. Death, of course, survives because it's Death, which they make a point of later on. But in the meantime, Jerry teaches Cordy how to be a gunslinger, and she actually gets the hang of it really easily. And as I kind of pointed out, it's like, okay, if you're going to have an ally be like this four-armed spider lady, having her being good with guns and everything in this kind of world and all, it's going to be super helpful. It's just going to be really useful to have that on your side. So they end up like holding up this bar and everything, this saloon, and Joe and some others from the town end up getting in a little bit of a fight with them. I use like quotations because it's like there wasn't really much of a fight. But then Death comes back and Joe teams up with Jerry and Cordy to kind of have a standoff. And again, using the quotes because there's not much that actually happens. Jerry just goes up to Death, tries to he's basically being a bard from like D&D. He's using his words more than anything to try and convince Death to just let him go and just move on and everything. And eventually he promises Death, like, oh, if you become the sheriff of our town instead of like killing us or whatnot, like, you can just protect everyone, and that way there won't be as many deaths. You will have a lot more free time. You won't be as busy and everything, and that, funny enough, convinces him. And Death becomes their sheriff, apparently. It's at the end they question, like, oh, what happened to the last sheriff? And I don't know, it's kind of implied, it's said that he, like, got shot or something, and I guess it's kind of implied that maybe Jerry might have been behind some of that, but I don't know. Death's design in this one is interesting. Like, I've seen a lot of different designs for Death, but usually it's like, you know, the Grim Reaper design, the tall skeletal figure in the cloak with the scythe. Supernatural's Death was this older man who wore like this black suit and everything, and loved junk food. So that was a unique version in and of itself, but, you know, supernatural. But then you have this, and he's kind of still like this tall cloaked figure. When his arms appear, it definitely looks like he has skeletal hands. But instead of like a skeletal face behind the cloak seems to be its actual body. Because, like, in the hood of the cloak, instead of like a face, it's like the hood is the head. And there's like just these fangs with flies buzzing around and shit. And instead of like speaking normally, it just like kind of releases these otherworldly like noises, which apparently the pterodactyl could understand somehow, and Cordy could kind of understand. She was getting some details wrong, but yeah, that's interesting. I guess maybe it's a monster thing. But yeah, it was pretty interesting, and he definitely seemed to have some pretty otherworld powers, which makes sense. And yeah, in the end, everything just kind of goes back to normal. This was definitely, by definition, a pilot. It introduced us to some of these characters, to this kind of world we live in the show, and gave us like the bare minimum for what it could be. Like comparing this to, for example, the OKKO pilot or the Steven Universe pilot, either of those. It's like you could tell in those pilots how different it is and how basic it is compared to where the actual show ended up going. So if there ever did become an actual Cliffside show, I could see it being much more developed, maybe some better animation and stuff, and just have a lot more to it. They could also, you know, take some things out, like the constant fourth wall breaking. Because again, I felt like they did it a little too much. Now, for pilots to get actually turned into shows, though, it usually takes a couple years. This pilot came out in May of 2018, and apparently, I guess, the guy created it for the University of Southern California, maybe as a project. But that by no means doesn't indicate that it won't become a show at any point. It could take a couple more years, a few more years, even a while. And if it did, I think that it could be really good. It could be. They just have to, like, cut some things back, maybe update some things. The animation, I think they could get away with doing what the animation is now, but just maybe upgrading it a little bit. But I want to, like, keep the I would think it should keep the general look and everything, especially with, like, characters like Cordy. Because it's like just her appearance with the fanged smile and stuff. It's like it looks really good, and I'm not just saying that because she's my favorite character and the best part from this. I'm saying it because, like, it's aesthetically pleasing. It has this both creepiness and cuteness factor that, again, just like her personality, helps her stand out. It sets her apart from the other characters in the show. and makes her just really just instantly like noticeable. So yeah, I think that this was a good pilot. Could have been better, admittedly, but I would like to see this get made into a show. Yeah. Um, but either way, yeah, I see why my friend why she wanted me to react to this. It was definitely because of Cordy. Um, it's not even a question. It's not even a question. Um, I tend to really like characters like that, so yeah. um, I mean, I assume she's going to be the thumbnail. I assume that's what I chose as the thumbnail. In fact, I'm pretty much going to say that's most likely what my thumbnail is going to be. Um, but yeah, I mean, you guys will already know by this point, but yeah. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of the pilot for Cliffside. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and thank you so much for tuning into today's video. If you want to check out any of my social media links and more, please check them out over to the side. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave those down below. In the meantime, though, thank you so much once again for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.